Hi, and welcome to a very special episode of Talking with Famous People. We are now going to have a dress rehearsal, which is why I'm filming it. Dress rehearsal round between Edmond and Brandon and Alice and Evelyn. Brandon and Edmond have chosen after Alice and Evelyn won the coin toss and chose to go second. So we're going to see this round right now. And I've asked all the participants to run through it as though it were a round in the tournament, which means no interruptions. I'm not going to interrupt it at all. We're going to go straight through, and then I will give RFDs after the round. Okay? So let's go ahead, shall we, and begin. Whenever the boys are ready, they will begin this round. And we're going to put this over onto this table so we don't get as much feedback on the mic. I get a little, but hopefully not much. Okay, go ahead.
Did I really?
Wait, are we going again?
Okay.
Not right now. You guys need to flow. You two need to flow this round.
Okay.
You too, Steven.
Yes, we're all ready. Okay, time starts now. Hello, my name is my partner Brandon, and we're going to framework voter fairness. Under the four mathematically validated voter fairness criteria. Observation 1. A voting fairness criterion is a way to mathematically determine when a given election is decided by voters. Connection with Term 11A. Tag. Early voters have 5 times more influence. Voters in early primary states have a disproportionate influence on who gets elected. Voters in states with early primary races have up to 5 times the influence of voters in later states in selecting presidential candidates, according to research by Brown University. That early voters have a disproportionate influence violates one person, one vote, a democratic ideal on which our nation is based. Convention 2, 2015A, tag. Our current presidential primary process is racist towards African Americans. As Americans honor those who fought for voting rights, it's easy to forget that 5.9 million citizens, 2.2 million of them African Americans, remain disenfranchised today. 1 out of every 13 African Americans is prohibited from casting a ballot in the United States. Most of them affected by these voting restrictions have already done their time and returned to the community. Convention 3. Any alternative is preferable to the status quo. Flaherty 2016 and VFHA. Subpoint A. The status quo fails the test of the majority criterion. The majority criterion states that the candidate who gets more than half of the first place vote should always be the winner. A reasonable requirement, right? Yet presidential voting can fail that test. As in 1876, when Samuel Tilden had 51% of the popular vote, but still lost to Rutherford Ford v. Hayes. Subpoint B. The status quo fails the test of the Condorcet criterion. An election violates the Condorcet criterion if some candidate is preferred head-to-head against every other candidate but ends up not being the winner of the election. Even though Trump had the most first-place votes, the majority of voters ranked him as their least favorite candidate. Most Republicans would have picked Cruz or Rubio over Trump in a head-to-head matchup. Yet when only first-place votes count, Trump wins. Seem unfair? That's a typical presidential primary election for you. Subpoint C. The status quo fails the test of the irrelevant alternatives criterion. An election violates the irrelevant alternatives criterion if having a loser drop out of the race changes who wins the election. A typical situation in which the irrelevant alternatives criterion can be violated happened in 2000 with Nader. If Nader had dropped out, many people believed that Gore would have defeated Bush. Subpoint D. The status quo fails the test of the monotonicity criterion. An election violates the monotonicity criterion if you can turn the winner into a loser by moving the winner up the preference list on some of the ballots. Plurality with elimination violates monotonicity. In election 7, C is the winner by this method. If in a re-election, the 2 voters in the last column switch their votes and move C ahead of A, the winner of the re-election is B. Convention 4. Convention 4. The pairwise comparison voting system with a one-day national primary meets 100% of the available mathematically validated voting fairness criteria. Subpoint A. The pairwise comparison voting system satisfies 3 of 4 criteria. Pairwise comparison satisfies majority criterion. A majority candidate will win every pairwise head-to-head comparison. Satisfies the Condorcet criterion. By definition, a Condorcet candidate is one that wins every head-to-head comparison, so this candidate always wins by pairwise comparisons. Satisfies monotonicity. If in a re-election the votes change only to favor the previous winner, there can only be more head-to-head wins for the candidate that already had the most head-to-head wins. Subpoint B. Analytic. A one-day national primary removes the one criterion that the pairwise comparison voting system fails to meet. This criterion is irrelevant alternatives, which states that a candidate dropping out changes who wins the election. In a one-day national primary, a candidate has no need to drop out since results of votes come after all voting is done. They cannot urge a strong vote for the affirmative side of the survey.
I'm going first.
No, I'm going first.
I'm going first.
I'm going
first.
Too bad.
Why don't you two just do a coin toss?
No.
I'm the one right here.
Okay.
I'm going first already.
Hello, Judge. Today we stand in the purpose.
Okay. Time starts now. My partner and I negate the resolution. Framework. Whichever side best optimizes democratic processes should win this round. Definition 1. Beneficial. Promotes democracy. Definition 2. Democracy, defined by dictionary.com, is a form of government characterized by formal equality of rights and political or social equality. Observation 1. The affirmative has the burden to either 1. Prove they fall under our framework, or 2. Prove that their criteria needs to be prioritized over ours. Observation 2. The affirmative has the burden to show how they are going to change to a national primary, or they are being too vague and can't win the round. Contention 1. Bill of Rights, 10th Amendment. To vote affirmative is to vote for the government violating state sovereignty and individuals' rights. Definition of enumerated powers. Guthman 2016. Enumerated powers are powers given to the federal government by the terms of the U.S. Constitution. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. In order for the federal government to host a one-day national primary, it would violate the Constitution. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution states all of the federal government's enumerated powers. None of those include election power. Therefore, as proven by the 10th Amendment, those election powers go to the government and the regular American citizens. Contention 2. A one-day national primary is unfair and biased to certain groups of people in 3 ways. Subpoint A, Chapman 2012A. A national primary would give a big advantage to better known candidates. A national primary would give a huge advantage to better known, better funded candidates, since only they would be able to finance the expensive advertising and large campaign operation needed to run a national get out the vote effort in all states. Lesser known candidates without extensive campaign operations would not have an opportunity to reach out to voters in retail style fashion and build support. A national primary day is a recipe for failure. It would only make it harder and more expensive for all candidates to have a fair shot at competing. This proof shows that if we use a one-day national primary, rich candidates would get a higher chance of winning an election, not the competitors with the most political experience. Making our elections like this will harm the U.S. because of wrong decisions made by inexperienced but rich applicants. Subpoint B, Chapman 2012A. Densely populated states are favored in our current presidential primary process. Densely populated states with higher delegate counts would become the dominant focus of campaigns and the media. The voters in small and mid-sized states would largely be ignored. It would limit the number of viable candidates and severely reduce choices for the American electorate. This evidence explains how not only candidates are being cheated on, but the actual voters as well. Subpoint C, Chapman 2012A. State party leaders will no longer have the flexibility to set their primary dates according to state-specific considerations, such as redistricting issues, state holidays, or other state and local elections. This third warrant extends my first contention because the state government is the one that is supposed to have the power to host a primary. My third warrant explains the harms to the U.S. because their power has been taken away from the state government. Contention 3. Regional primaries should be we should have regional primaries instead of a one-day national primary. Larva 2016. Consolidating primaries and caucuses into regions would allow candidates to concentrate their campaigns into small geographic areas instead of continually crisscrossing the nation. Confining campaigning to one region at a time would presumably lead to less wear and tear on the candidates and their staff, reduce the number of cross-country plane trips, and allow for more efficient television advertising. No more would candidates have to guess if one state would be moving its primary ahead and whether the national primaries would recognize these schedule changes. A regional primary system allows candidates to keep their campaigns in one area of the country instead of constantly moving them from state to state. Advocates of regional primaries in the states often argue that the format will force candidates to address issues of concern to each region or the nation rather than catering solely to the issues of one or two states. More states would have a voice in the selection of the presidential nomination, as the contest would not be decided. Thank you, and please vote for the negative.
Cross.
Okay, time starts now. So your third contention talks about regional primaries, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a fourth contention?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So who's gonna be running the one day national primary?
The federal government.
Okay. Wait. So can you wait? What was your first contention again?
Our first contention is that early voters have 5 times more influence than later voters. For your contention one, you show how a one-day national primary is unconstitutional, right?
Yes.
Okay, but what are the impacts of this?
Well, because
What are the
because we have a better solution than the one day national primary or the pairwise comparison system that you're advocating is as ours is constitutional. We're advocating for regional primaries, which is constitutional.
What's the impact to the United States if we violate the Constitution?
Because you're because you're ruining America.
And
You're ruining the basics.
how are you ruining America? What are the impacts to ruin America that you are causing to ruin America?
Because you're literally just violating it how you want. There's really no point of the Constitution. It's an abuse of
It's
power.
an abuse of power.
And it
because-
leads to more abuse of power. That's the
Because
argument.
if we violate the Constitution, we can just do anything we want. It's an abuse of power if we violate the Constitution.
So what are those impacts to the United States? How will that impact to the United States?
Going to
Massive, relentless taxation, drug war, all that stuff. All the anti-government stuff. Come on. Go.
Okay. It's gonna lead to drug wars, an abuse of power. It's gonna lead to all that bad stuff.
But-
People have violated the Constitution.
The
It leads to more
The federal government violates the Constitution all the time, and are those
That
impacts?
doesn't mean you should do it again.
Well, that mitigates the impact.
Alice,
We're
let
showing
me-
that there's no evidence.
All right. Next, is somebody taking prep? Are you taking prep? Are they taking prep?
No, I'm not taking prep.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
Look at chat. You can start now.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Okay, I need to set up the timer.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Time starts now. So first I'm going to refute the framework. Their framework is about cost-benefit analysis. But the problem with that is that it's pretty obvious which framework you have to judge using the round. The foundation of America is democracy, and the basic understanding of democracy is voter fairness or maximizing the individual's voice. Therefore, USA runs on voter fairness, meaning that there's no America if there's no voter fairness, which is why voter fairness has to be the biggest impact in this round and the framework you have to judge on. And this is why I should put our framework of voter fairness based on 4 mathematically violated criteria. Now the first contention talks about the Bill of Rights and that if we switch to a one-day national primary, it will be unconstitutional. I have 3 responses against this. My first one is that any law that Congress has passed is constitutional until the Supreme Court indicates otherwise. My opponents might claim that the proposed change would face constitutional challenge, but only the Supreme Court can invalidate a law on constitutional grounds. My second one is that even if you don't buy that, Judge, you ought to evaluate the constitutionality of a given law according to how people actually interpret the Constitution rather than according to the letter of the law. In this last quote, the Constitution is interpreted broadly. Congress is essentially unrestrained and passes laws about all manner of things that need dealing with. My third one is that the single-day primary issue has substantial impact upon interstate commerce. The Supreme Court has constantly ruled that Congress is broadly empowered by the Commerce Clause. Now, my opponent's second contention, subpoint A, states that better funded candidates and better known candidates have a higher advantage. But I have 3 responses against this. I have 3 responses against this. My first one is that Cooper 2008A. Candidates won't have the money to travel every single month television ad. So what? We can read what they have to say in newspapers and on the web. We can watch or hear them broadcast interviews and debates. Judge, this shows how candidates have many other ways to easily campaign that's inexpensive. My second was that candidates that aren't well funded can still campaign because there's more delegates, which allows them to still win many votes. And my third one is that lowering the length of presidential primary process means a lower price to campaign. Choice B says because a one-day national primary reduces the amount of time campaigning, it reduces the cost for all candidates, which can actually help, not harm lower funded ones. Now the third one on the contestation 2 talks about how the states can choose which one can't choose the dates and it's unflexible. But the thing is, it's more unflexible for the citizens because there's a certain range of dates in which the states can choose the primaries, and that the people who want to vote can't schedule anything under that range instead of just one definitive date. Now the third contention talks about regional primaries. Now the regional primaries is the regional primaries, they haven't even clarified what their impacts are. For regional primaries, they haven't even clarified what the impacts are now. I'll like to adjust framework again. Even if the framework is anything else, whether it's democracy, cost-benefit analysis, or any economic framework, the thing is that you should prefer ours because this is the foundation and we can't look ahead without it. And we can't look ahead without all of this. Now, to extend my own contention since I have more time, you should prefer our contention 4, which is pairwise comparisons, because it does everything what the current system does better. And that if we advocate for a one-day national primary, it opens the gateway to actually have a solution, which is pairwise comparison. And that the current presidential primary process, according to my contention 3, actually fails all four mathematically validated criterions. And that my contention 1 shows that we can't do an extended primary because of Iowa and New Hampshire, in which they have major influence, in which they don't represent a majority of America. And this is why I should go for the affirmative.
Okay, not bad.
Amazing. I take 30 seconds of it. I'm gonna read this.
What is it? What do you need it?
Just one.
Okay. No. That. No, because no.
I'm lucky.
Okay.
Read this.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what do I say to them? This thing. Whatever. Okay. Yes. Reset it. 4 minutes. Time start.
Yeah, so first of all, Judge, let's talk about framework. So I have a card, another 2010C. Democracy is preferable to any of the more authoritarian alternatives. Elected governments, however, have 3 significant advantages over dictatorial ones. 1, the people choose them, and if they displease, the voters can remove them. 2, they have legitimacy in the eyes of their own people as well as for the rest of the world that military despots can never achieve. And 3, they have a great incentive to cheat their own citizens well, since they have to face elections periodically. Primarily as a result of these factors, democratic governments are on average more benign than autocratic ones. Which is why, Judge, we need to prefer democracy because it's more preferable to the authoritarian alternatives that they're advocating for. So then let's move on to their first contention, which is that, how early voters have 5 times more influence. So I have a couple warrants against this. Number 1, different occasions will always lead to different results. For example, if 2 candidates are tied up and it comes down to the wire, the last state would have the most power. And then also, if we switch to one-day national primary, campaigning will actually just be focused on states with more delegates, which is bad. And then, yeah, so then for their second contention, subpoint A, they read about African Americans and how it disenfranchises voters. Judge, this might be true, but what they failed to note is that, or what they failed to do, is to show how a one-day national primary is going to fix this. They're basically just making a claim that the presidential process is disenfranchising voters. So what? They haven't shown why this is important, which is why you can't put this on the flow. And then for their subpoint B, they talked about basically how most candidates drop out by the time most voters get in their voting system. But Judge,
what they failed to note is that there's a reason they've dropped out, because either one, they themselves have dropped out because they realize they can't win, or two, the voters don't like them. So the reasons why they drop out are always their own reasons, or because they're not a good candidate, which is why it's actually good with the later states, because it's giving them it's giving them the best candidates to choose from. And then for the contention 3, they talked about the status quo. But Judge, I'd like to reference our regional primaries. They say we haven't shown impacts, but again, Judge, in the cross, my partner already told you, this is an alternative, or this is a system that we're going to use that does everything a presidential process does, and it meets all these criteria. It's just constitutional, which means Congress cannot abuse power, which is why we need regional primaries, and it already meets all these status quo regulations, which is why we want regional primaries. And then for the fourth contention, they talked about pairwise comparison voting system, Judge. But can I just read you one of the warrants they have here? One of their warrants is that pairwise comparison, or satisfies majority criteria. Majority criteria will win every pairwise comparison. They're literally just making claims here. They're literally just warrants here. We have cards on regional primaries that talk about their benefits, that talk about how they meet all these criteria, talk about all their good points, and they're literally just making claims about the pairwise comparison. We cannot buy their claims. You need to buy the actual cards that we have provided on regional primaries. If they're saying a majority criteria candidate will win every pairwise comparison, that doesn't matter. They're not explaining why it's important, why it means all this. They're literally just making claims, which is why you need to prefer our regional primaries, because there are actually cards and we have actually evidence supporting our statements as opposed to their claims. So then let's talk about in the cross. We talked about how they want the regional primaries. They want the national government to rule this, but Judge, as soon as the gosh dang thing opens, it's not opening. But Judge, the federal government is a centralized government, and we need localized government, because localized government allows them to have more control, and it allows them to have a more fair society. And I can show them the card because I don't have time to read it if they want to in the cross. So thank you, Judge, and I urge a strong ratification ballot.
Yeah, woohoo!
Yeah, LB cards. Yeah.
And that's why you keep getting away with all your bullshit.
Why?
Because you're beast mode. That was good, Alice.
Yeah, woohoo!
Yay.
Right.
LB cards.
Keep going. Keep rolling it.
Hey, cross. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Time starts now. So how does regional primaries change the voting system?
Because regional primaries are basically so regional primaries, they're basically a system that's going to meet all these criteria because they're a presidential system, which means that they're already going to meet all the criteria.
But how does it change the voting system, the voting method?
It doesn't necessarily.
Like plurality voting.
Plurality voting? Where did that come from?
Plurality voting, pairwise voting, voter
We're
count.
not saying it's going to change it. We're just saying that regional primaries are a better system than what you're advocating for, since they're already going to meet it all, and it's constitutional, unlike one in national primary.
But how do they meet all of the criterions?
Do you want me to read you the card?
Okay, what does it say? Does it say how it meets them?
Yeah. She was like, open the goddamn thing. Please don't say that. Okay, I will. So, what did you want to ask? No, I was asking the
How do they meet the criteria?
No, not them. Evelyn.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
Unless I get a paper.
Brandon, ask a question phrased like this. How can the thing you're advocating for possibly meet all 4 criteria if, in fact, the voting is done on multiple days? Stop being IA requires it to be done on a single day. Ask the question like that.
Okay. Go ahead and ask it now.
Yeah, go ahead.
So how does the solution you're advocating for fulfill all criterions? Because to fulfill all alternatives, you need it all to be in one day.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
then can you show me how it isn't?
Yeah. Okay, as soon as this thing opens, because the Wi-Fi here is wonderful.
Too many people are on it doing too much stuff.
Yeah, Steve, Steve.
What are you doing, Steve? Is he screwing around again? Oh my God! I feel bad for Megan. I'm actually happy to think of you getting your ass whooped at nationals, but I feel bad for Megan. What should you be doing?
It's just crossfire.
And this is just a giant gold bar.
Oh yeah, this is Jessie, so I'll button the thing.
Well, right now
Do you have
I'm
the
in no mood
evidence
to buy
for it?
anything
Yeah,
except the
there.
kicks in the ass.
It's right here.
I'll buy you each a stern kick in the ass. That's what I'm gonna buy you.
Okay.
Let's go.
So, well, just here,
Just read it to me.
in your own prep time.
Read it to me.
Okay, it says right
Read
here.
it to me.
It is
Read
a
it.
lot.
Read it.
Okay, I'll read the entire thing, so I'm giving you 5 minutes. Okay, so first of all, there's what my partner read, which is that it's going to less wear and tear on the candidates. That's like the benefits right now. Reduce the number of cross-country plane trips, more efficient television advertising, blah, 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 right? And then there's also right here, let's say advocates in number of regional primaries states often argue that in the format will force candidates to address issues of concern to each region or nation rather than catering society to the issue of 1 or 2 states, blah, 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 right? That's talking about basically how it's going. It's
Can you
not
read
going
it
to
slower?
advocate of regional primaries, yes.
Advocate. In other words, Alice, the card does not say what you said it says. It
Yeah,
says a bunch of
it
other
does.
stuff. Where?
There's just no, I haven't made the link to it yet.
Hurry up.
Okay, so it's talking about how issues of concern to each region or nation rather. So basically it's talking about how it's not going to,
You're making this shit up as you go, Alice. You have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Okay, look. So they're talking about how it's not going to be the bias, which basically says that it meets the condescent criterion because it's talking about how there's not going to be like one candidate preferred, one head, blah, 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 because it says right here, rather than catering solely to the issues of 1 or 2 states, most states that are voiced in selection. So that meets the condescent criterion, right?
Alice, stop. Just stop. Just please stop. You could have saved us some time. You just said, yeah, it doesn't actually say that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
It
it does.
It does
You do
not.
realize you're giving us prep time by saying
It
all of
does.
this.
You've just not seen the link that I've
Alright,
given
stop.
you.
Shh, that's the answer, guys. You guys know what the answer is now. Now stop this discussion about this. Let's move forward in the round. If you're gonna don't fight on their framework. If they're running this framework and you know they have you beat on their own framework, and you say, well, listen, Judge, it's a fun framework. We're gonna judge on something that the status quo is really shitty at. It's like saying, oh, I see you're really short. Let's have a height contest then. That's what they're doing, Al, stop. So let's proceed. Go. It's supposed to be a dress rehearsal round and you're screwing around. Go.
Edmond, you need prep?
No.
Are you ready?
No, okay.
Say that in the framework. In their framework is basically totally biased towards their side. It's like saying, if you're short, let's have a height contest.
Are you guys using prep for my?
It's your choice, not ours.
Yeah. Stop
Just
talking.
shut up and let them talk.
Wait, you have to read it down. Yes.
Go.
Okay, time starts now. Okay, Judge, first I would like to address framework. As we've already, my opponent's framework is democracy. Ours is voter fairness. As we've already proven in a rebuttal speech, voter fairness is the biggest impact in this round because the USA runs on voter fairness. Therefore, you have to judge under the voter fairness criterion. And also, both of our frameworks are going to be about fairness either way. Voter fairness and democracy, they're both going to be about fairness. But ours, we have mathematically validated voter fairness criteria to judge around using, meaning that we have math on our side. We've done research, we've came prep, which is why you have to go under our framework either way. Now, Judge, under my contention 4. My contention 4 is about the pairwise comparison voting system and how a one-day national primary meets all 4 of the mathematically validated voter fairness criteria. My opponents made the argument that we're just making claims, but they've only pointed out one criterion where we make claims on. That's the majority criterion. They've dropped the other 3 criterion because they know to the extent we have substantial evidence. meaning a winning national primary still meets these criterion. And now onto my contention 3. My contention 3 is how a status quo system violates all 4 of the mathematically validated voting fairness criteria. My opponents used the regional primaries card against this. Well, first of all, Judge, the regional primaries card, they have no evidence on how it meets any of the criterion, meaning it doesn't attack our contention 3 directly, and also they can't even use regional primaries because as the resolution tells the neg to do, the neg is supposed to advocate for our current presidential primary process, meaning they can't advocate for regional primaries. Now onto my contention 2 subpoint A. My contention 2 subpoint A talks about how the status quo system is racist, and that's another voter fairness argument. And my opponents rebutted this by saying, well, we haven't shown why that one national primary will fix this. But as our observation 1 says, that the voter fairness criteria, whichever side meets the most, will be more not racist. Will show which election practice does not disenfranchise voters. Thank you, and I urge a strong vote for the affirmative side of this one.
You have to talk about. Take 30 seconds to prep.
Okay, we'll take 30 seconds to prep. You said that stuff.
Okay, what?
That was good, Edmond.
You have to talk about status quo, how the presidential primary process, status quo is currently a presidential primary process, which means that it basically just means that it's over a number of days, and regional primaries are over a number of days, so it isn't the status quo.
Well, I know, I was gonna say that.
Okay, good. Say that.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Time starts now. So first I'd like to talk about the framework. As Carter already stated in her rebuttal speech, she already read this part about authoritarianism, and also you should vote under our framework because, hold on, where is it? Where is it? Optimizing democracy creates equality which impacts the U.S. most beneficially, and also their framework is totally biased onto their side because it's like saying if you see a short person and let's say, oh, let's have a height contest or whatever, and also for our first sentence, we said that we read the Bill of Rights and how it violates sovereignty and individuals' rights. They said that it's not unconstitutional unless the Supreme Court rules it unconstitutional. However, the legitimacy of the laws derived from its consistent and non-arbitrary application and from its publicly accessible and referable nature. To claim a cat is a dog or that growing weed for sale in the state is interstate commerce, then the law has no legitimacy. In Federalist Number 78, Hamilton wrote, a constitution is in fact and must be regarded by the judges as a fundamental law. It therefore belongs to them as certain as its meaning as well as the meaning of any particular act proceeding from the legislative body. If there should happen to be an irreconcilable variance between the two, that was the superior obligation and authority ought to be of course preferred. Or in other words, the Constitution ought to be preferred to the statute, the intention of the people to their intention of their agents. Our second contention subpoint A was about how rich candidates will have an unfair advantage. They said that candidates can have many ways to campaign. However, this doesn't really change the fact that rich candidates will have a huge advantage. They will have flashier campaigns, and people will vote for that. And also, they dropped our densely populated states warrant. And for my third contention, I read the regional primaries. They said we haven't clarified the impacts. How the impacts are. So basically, I'll clarify that now. It's actually a regional primary would actually be constitutional because and it includes all the benefits and excludes the harm. They also said that we can't advocate for a regional primary because it's not in the status quo. However, it is in the status quo because our obligation is to keep the status quo in terms of the number of days, and that's what we're doing. Thank you, and please vote for the no.
Thank you.
How many seconds did you have left?
0.
Okay, good. But listen, there's one thing I wish you had done a little bit of, just a teeny bit. It was really quite good, Evelyn, very good indeed. But the one thing I wish you'd done a little differently is I wanted to hear you not just say they dropped that delegate heavy state impact, but to impact it. And say basically, the way our system is structured, if we allow the candidates to simply prioritize the heavy delegate states, that's what they're going to do, and states that don't have a lot of delegates will be completely ignored by the political system. This is a union of states. Our country is a union of states. It is not a single nation that has all the same interests. Okay. So,
Crossfire.
go ahead.
Time starts now. Okay, so let's address this regional primary point. The resolution clearly says for you guys to advocate for our status quo system,
Wait, I have a question. Can you make new points after rebuttal? No, you can't. And that is a new point, so we can't consider it. There, problem solved.
What's a new point?
That's the response to your rebuttal.
No, it's not. It's a completely new
Wait.
point. Your response to our rebuttal was that there's no impacts. You talked about the status quo as a completely new point, which means that we cannot even consider it. Considering in public forum, you can't make a new point.
That does not make sense because you refused presidential with regional primaries, and I'm responding to your regional primary point.
Okay, listen, boys, listen. I want you to just, if something like that happens, you just say, so just for the record, you're refusing to answer the question? Just say that. That's all you say, okay?
Okay.
Excuse me?
Go ahead, say it to him. Ask him. So just so I can get it down on my flow, for the record, officially you are refusing to answer this question, correct?
No.
That's what you say to her.
No.
Then what's the answer?
That you can't consider this.
That's not an answer to my question. That's a critique of my question.
Yeah, it is a critique of your question.
So then the correct answer to you are refusing to answer my question is?
You can't run that talking.
So the correct answer to, so true or false? You are refusing to answer my question. True or false?
False.
So then what's the answer? Not the critique of the question,
What's
the
your
answer.
question then?
Okay, so look, you, at this point, what I would do in the final focus, you want to hammer this. You want to hammer this hard and say, here's why you can't vote for her. She wants to say that she won this fight.
Which her?
You. Or them, whatever. They want to say they won this fight, but they have not won this fight if they have not answered these points. Anytime they did not answer something, that means we get to pick their answer for them. Okay? That's the claim you want to make in that final focus speech, boys. If they will not answer the point, we get to answer for them. Go. Continue this thing. Sorry to interrupt you, but that was annoying. Yeah, start that crossover and don't do annoying stuff like that.
Okay, but
Answer it, for God's sake.
I'm going to be annoying back.
All right, I'm talking to you.
I know.
Her answer. Go. Start the crossover. Go.
Start time now. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, doesn't the resolution tell you to advocate for the status quo system?
Yeah, the status quo is the number of days in a presidential primary, which means more
all
than 1
factors
day.
of our current presidential primary process. All factors, not just one factor of if it's extended or not.
Yeah, that is our current presidential primary process, a system where...
Okay. So does that mean you can only advocate for the change of days and nothing else?
Okay, what do you define a regional primary as?
A system that's better.
And
Oh,
What do you
what
want?
specific
It's
one?
when they separate like the days like
Oh wait,
the
no,
regional.
wait. We define regional primary as presidential, as our current presidential primaries.
You cannot just consider the factor of extended and not extended. You have to consider every factor of our current presidential primary process, and you cannot do them.
We are considering every factor of our current presidential primary process.
By
Okay,
using
then
the
can
And
you-
the main point is like the number of days. A regional primary is our current presidential primary process. We
No,
define it as
no, you
that.
have to consider all the other points too, all the other factors. You can't just consider the main point.
And can you define what regional primary is?
Our current presidential primary process.
But can you not be vague about it? Specifically, what makes a regional primary a regional primary?
It's our current presidential primary process. The regional primary right now
Then
is
why are you
status quo.
advocating for regional primaries anyways? It's the same thing as our current presidential primary process. Then,
Yeah.
then you're agreeing to our harms, right?
We're advocating for the regional primaries because the resolution tells us to advocate for our current presidential primary process, which is why
And
we're
we-
advocating for the regional primaries. Excuse me, I can't hear you.
Current presidential primary process.
Do my goals.
Then why doesn't the resolution specifically state a regional primary?
Because they want to be nice.
What do you
That's
mean? What do you mean by
non-answer.
that?
I can't see him talking. Because I'm telling you,
Alex, can I use your phone?
No.
I need to call my mom. She's here. Let me use my phone.
Clearly, my opponents are not answering my question, and a reason
What are you talking about?
what the record is telling us.
Clearly, Judge, my opponents are making this ridiculous claim that, oh, in the status quo, we can't use it. But, Judge, I've already told you that in the status quo, we are using regional primaries, which is why you need to consider regional primaries, which is why you cannot consider this BS argument my opponents are talking about. Steve. The bandwidth.
I feel bad for Megan.
I do feel bad for Megan.
No.
Forwards, I'm heavy. Forwards, I'm heavy. Backwards, I'm not. What am I?
Ton.
Your mom's face.
It's ton. And then
Final foci?
Yeah.
Wait, what? That was the best crossfire I've
That
ever
was.
experienced.
Oh my gosh, it makes me so salty.
Alright, take the rest of your prep.
What comes once?
I have 2 minutes of prep.
Take it all. Use it all.
Time starts now.
Letter E. No.
Wait.
No.
Hush, little angels. Hush.
What is always happening?
Is there a break?
Yeah, what time is it right now?
11:14.
Okay, what's that? Yeah, you guys can have another break after this.
Okay.
But then by the time it's gonna
It's a short break, and then we'll come back and I'm going to talk to you guys about how to argue things. We're going to run through. You guys are going to write down. We're going to write down crossfire questions. We're going to write down crossfire answers. Okay.
oxygen wrong. Where's my
After that. Strauss.
Yes.
Wow.
That's you can explode that one.
Wait, I got this. Are you ready? Beautiful. Good. What object do you go on red but stop on green?
Stop like. No, go on red. Stop on green.
Okay. Before I begin, I'm going to give an off-time roadmap. I'm going to address framework, but then I'm going to go on my opponent's side of the floor, and I'm going to go on my side of the floor. Okay. Time starts now. So first, you should prepare our framework of voting fairness based on a full mathematically valid criterion, because it is mathematically proven. Because it's mathematically proven, there is no bias in it, and that every vote counts the same, and that it's the foundation of democracy. To prepare our framework, and it's not biased on our side of the floor just because fairness applies to also democracy, and it's the most accurate way. Now to address their observation, we have already said in the first crossfire that the federal government will do it, so we don't have to address that any longer. Now, you cannot let them win the contention 3 regional primaries. What they're saying is that it's part of the current presidential primary process. This is simply wrong, and that our status quo does not split our primaries into 4 different regions in which what a regional primary is. So you should not let them win that point, and they haven't refuted our second and third warrant against the Bill of Rights warrant on their contention 1. So their contention 1 is now down. Now that I'm done my poll side floor, I'm going to mention some key voters. Our contention 3 and contention 4. Now you should prefer now I'm going to include both frameworks of both democracy and fairness criterions. So what their framework, our contention 3 shows that they fail all 4 criterions. That there's a huge impact because they don't even fulfill anything on their side of the case. Doesn't even fulfill the framework of democracy. Democracy is supposed to represent all voices of the people. And the fact that they fail all 4 criterions shows that they don't even fit under their own framework, and that the affirmative does this better based on pairwise comparisons. We at least fill 3 of the 4 voting fairness criterion, and that's a huge reason to vote for affirmative. We are representing the voice of the people, and we are stopping all of this unjust unfairness from it, so that people don't win unfairly. And this is why I should vote for the affirmative.
Okay, not bad. Let's go.
Okay. I'll take the rest of my part then, I guess.
Okay.
Time starts now. Sorry. No. Status quo. RP. Okay. Which fish is typically used in popular?
Yeah. Wow, you are such a rebel. Oh my god. Are you sure you're not an ENTP?
No. When you first, Strauss, I was looking through my stuff and I found my old LD flows.
This is how you're using your prep, huh?
But
Chat
I
with me.
know.
Hey, it's your prep. You can do what you want.
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
saying. You better kill this final focus, dude.
Don't worry, I will. Ooh. Okay. Nicolas Cage.
Alright, come on, let's go. It's time.
Time starts. Evelyn! She's touching my computer.
So we started or what?
Okay, time starts now. So, Judge, I'm going to give you a couple of voters. Number 1, which is framework. So, Judge, again, my partner already told you in the framework, their framework is abusive because their framework is literally going up to a short person and saying, hey, let's have a height contest. It's totally abusive. And we already read cards how democracy is better than the authoritarian alternative that they're advocating for, which is why you need for our framework of democracy, which is because of all these reasons I've just given you. So, then I'll go on the second voter, which is the impacts. So, Judge, look at the constitutionality impact, which is that the one-day national primary is unconstitutional. Unconstitutional because of the fact that it violates the amendment article law and stuff, right? So if you look at our solution, the regional primaries, this is actually a better alternative that meets all the criteria, which is already constitutional because it's not taking away the states and the people's power, which is why you need to put regional primaries, which is why you need to give the impact to us on constitutionality, because you can't vote for a side that wants you to abuse the Constitution and abuse power, like the government, and to let the government abuse power. So let's move on to the third voter, which is the status quo. So just status quo right now is the current presidential primary process. This is basically just talking about a number of days. The more, if there's more than one day, then that means that it is in the status quo. Regional primaries are more than one day, which is why in the status quo, regional primaries are the current status quo, which is why you need to accept our solution of regional primaries, and which is why you also need to put regional primaries on the floor and use this to compare to all their ridiculous statements on pairwise comparison and their criteria on the stuff and all these ridiculous arguments they're making. So again, Judge, let's go over these voters' framework, where to win, because we've already read a card on how our framework is comparable to those authoritarian alternatives. And then second of all, the impact is the constitutionality impact, which is how their point is basically just to let the Congress abuse the power that they've given with the Constitution and let them violate the Constitution, let them keep abusing the power with drug wars or all these stuff that my partner already talked about. And the third one is the status quo. Our regional primaries are actually in the status quo, so thank you and urge strong negation ballot. Hi, Megan.
That's pretty good, Alice. The thing is, of course, that round comes down to constitutionality versus the other stuff, and I don't think you covered all their answers on constitutionality. Brandon, I would have liked to heard you impact that a little bit more, those drops, But I'd say Brandon and Edmond picked it up because you guys failed to sustain constitutionality. I think you impacted it adequately, not well enough as I would like. here's how we can impact it better. I want you guys to get, I want Alice and Evelyn, you guys each cut a card, one of you cut a card on Manzanar, the Japanese internment camp, and how it's a constitutional violation, okay? And so all we need is any card that shows that Manzanar violated constitutional rights.
How do you spell that?
M-A-N, man, za, Z-A, nar, N-A-R. Now, Alice, I want you to get, I want you to type in, government gives syphilis to black people. I want you to get that one, okay? You find that's an example of the government doing unconstitutional things and causing ridiculous harms that sound really bad. Edmond, I want you to get, you get Trail of Tears. Trail of Tears, okay?
What is the Manzanar?
Alright, Allison, you can have, I want you to get the last of the four, okay? I'll have Brandon get something else. Allison, you get Iran-Contra.
Iran-Contra?
Yeah, say Iran-Contra unconstitutional. Google that. Find a card that says that. Upload it into the Dropbox folder. Put it in the folder, in the National PF folder. And now we can impact constitutionality. And this is how I want you to impact constitutionality, Allison. I want you to break this down. Evelyn, you too. Make sure everyone needs to write it down. But when we're impacting constitutionality, you say this. When you're running that case in general, Alice, when you're running that case in general, you need to say it like this. We are not advocating for regional primaries. We are showing you, Judge, that if in fact you believe the harms in the status quo they articulate are significant enough to demand a change, a way of changing exists that is constitutional. High Court. I've got them on Skype with Felix right now. Okay, can you get on Skype with Felix, please?
Felix?
Yeah. Okay. Alright, so again, with this link here, you need to argue that the regional primaries are not, you're not advocating for them. What you're saying is, if the inherency, basically, that my opponents present is so powerful that you must take action, there exists a way for us to solve these problems that is legal. And I want you to include it as part of the legality proof. Do you have the legality proof stuff up in there? I put it in there, but I don't know if you guys have paid any attention to it. Let's go over it again. One warrant for why the government should not be, we should never affirm an unconstitutional act by the government. One warrant is the government has the capacity to change the laws. So it is never justified in breaking its own laws.
Stop recording this.
Oh yeah, right. Thank you for reminding me. Thanks for watching Talking to Spanish, people. And thank you, Alice, for being attentive to such matters. Alright, so yeah, impacting constitutionality is going to be huge. And, but did you guys like that episode? That was pretty fun, huh? I think it was pretty fun.